Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So if you've watched my videos for any length of time, you may know that I speak very lightly of the concept of death, right? When I was fasting last year and I had some family drama and needing acceptance from my family, I threatened to fast myself to death unless my family sees eye to eye with me and unless I get a few things out of people near me. Now the truth is I probably was not going to fast all the way to death, but I certainly wanted to get some things that I wanted to get, and I wasn't afraid of the concept of dying. I just have a very neutral view of it. I treat death almost like, you ever think about a stage of life that you're terrified about? Maybe you're in school, you're terrified about graduating from school, you're terrified about a marriage or a divorce, or I view death as one of those kinds of events, right? I just got to know somebody who just graduated this past month, and she's probably quite terrified about that as well, but it's not something that she's going to stop from happening, right? She's not going to allow herself to be held back a grade or any number of things that might prevent her from graduating, right? And I view death, actually, to be fair, there's something I fear much more than death, and that's to live in misery, right? I am autistic, I have some food allergies, and I have differences in sexual orientation, and in a world where people don't see eye to eye on that stuff, it could be living in misery. A lot worse than going to prison or maybe even worse than hell, right? And so death is probably the least of my worries compared to that, right? So that's why I talk very lightly about death. Unfortunately, a lot of people near me have been passing away these past few years, and actually in some ways that's even worse than death, having to witness all of this. I just lost another close friend that I've known since 4th grade. My biggest memory of him was that we had 8th grade together. My first day of 8th grade, I so badly wanted to say the F word because the year before that I had got into arguments with people on online chat rooms and I would repeatedly use the F word. I sat down in a table with 3 other kids and I asked them to say the F word, and all of them refused to because we were in school. And I said, how about we all each spell out one letter? And we went around the table, F-U-C-K, and it was a nice way to break the ice. Now he and another classmate, the 4 of us ended up sitting together for most of 8th grade in science class, and he and another one of my classmates thought it would be funny every time the teacher passed around exams to scribble on each other's exams. And this drove our teacher mad. Our teacher was a very serious guy. I want to say he was in his 50s or so at the time, and he took school, especially science class, very, very seriously. And he was very upset at the 2 of them and threatened to give them an F if they did that again. Now one time we had been doing a class project and we were using the whiteboard to show our results, and we had made a mistake on the whiteboard. We had all sat down and we were waiting our turn to present when we realized the mistake. Now my classmate, the one who had just passed away, when the teacher looked away, he ran up to the board to correct the mistake, and he quickly sat back down. And our teacher probably noticed him doing that, but he thought it was a good thing that we realized our mistake on the board. So some good memories with him. Unfortunately, I had another high school classmate who passed away last year. I had a funny memory with him. We were in 3rd grade. I had gone to the cafeteria and I dropped my money on the floor. And when I went to pick it up, I was missing a quarter. I couldn't find it. And the lunch aide was, after I had been searching for 2 minutes, the lunch aide was like, don't worry about it, just get your lunch. And I sat down to eat. And I overheard my classmate laughing. He didn't realize I overheard him. I am autistic. I pick up on background noises very easily. He didn't notice that. He said, ha ha, Andrew dropped a quarter and he couldn't find it. It's right here. And he kept it. And I went up to his table and scared the crap out of him. He didn't think I heard him, so I scared the crap out of him. I said, "Can I have my quarter back, please?" And he said, well, finders keepers, and he decided to keep it. Now, the lunch aid had already made up the difference, and I really didn't want to ruin the atmosphere of the lunch that day, so I let it slide. But it just gave me a bad impression of him, and he has since passed away. It's funny, a lot of people who have wronged me have also passed away. I had a classmate in college. He and I feuded over a girl, and somehow we were still able to do other things. Even though we were feuding over the girl, somehow we were able to put that aside when we were doing our schoolwork. And he showed me, he was studying chemistry, and he showed me how to extract bismuth from a bunch of computer chips. Unfortunately, not bismuth, but the stuff he was extracting was about 4 protons and 8 neutrons short of the bismuth, right? And for some reason, the stuff that he was extracting, humans have gone crazy over, despite it being just a little bit more rare than bismuth, right? Anyway, so he was extracting gold from computer chips, and he showed me how to do this, and he had hydrochloric and nitric acid, and I asked him where he bought the acids, and he said you could buy it at Home Depot. Now, the girl we were feuding over was working part-time at the Home Depot at the time, and when he said Home Depot, I went, and he said, oh yeah, go to Lowe's then, don't go to Home Depot. Somehow, as long as that girl wasn't involved and we were doing science, we could get along with each other. It's kind of like the US and Russia. We could fight over all sorts of stuff, but the moment we go into space or the moment we try to discover a new chemical element, we work together again, right? He and I were kind of like that. And unfortunately, he was really good at networking with so many people, which is why he got the girl and I didn't. And he was so good at it, he continued to do that, and unfortunately 4 years ago, that's what killed him. He never had anybody more than 6 feet away from him, and that's what ended up, and he was always eating a lot of junk food, poisoning his immune system because he never wanted to say no to anybody. Unfortunately, the combination of those two things killed him. Now, the girl we were feuding over has also since passed. Now, what had happened was she was really she also studied chemistry. She was reckless with her chemistry experimentation. I believe she had gotten written up by the school a couple of times for not putting on her PPE and making mistakes like that. Almost got kicked out of the chemistry class. And unfortunately, that's kind of the attitude that killed her. She obviously didn't do it with chemistry. She did it with a car. I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't put on her car PPE, aka your seatbelt, as well, right? And that's the kind of attitude that unfortunately killed her. And then there's been a number of other deaths. I had a favorite cashier at my favorite department store. She has also passed away unexpectedly. She was quite young. I don't know what happened to her. And my opponent at the Computer Olympiad, he was 58 years old or so, and I beat him in the Canadian Checkers AI last year. He has since passed away too, which is unfortunate because he was the only opponent I had for that game, and the only way I could know if I was doing well with that. He had addictive personality. He would stay up 5-6 nights in a row writing his computer program. I wouldn't be surprised if that contributed to his demise. But I have a very lighthearted attitude toward death. I often think about maybe I'll go see Mary Curry after I pass. July 4th of this year will be 90 years since she passed. You know, I wanted to study chemistry as a kid, but my dad thought it was too reckless to do it. I thought someday after I develop some chemistry or physics experiments that will allow me to time travel, I could go back to Mary Curry's time because she was widowed for 30 years. And I thought that must have been a terrible existence. And I wanted to go back in time to meet her so she could have some company. Obviously, I now recognize that she had a different kind of marriage for the second half of her life, but I still want to meet her. So just lighthearted attitude in general about death. Now, funny, I kind of regret doing this, but the classmate that just passed away last month, his birthday is April 4/4. And I used to joke, because in Chinese the number 4 sounds like the word for death, and it's unlucky. Every time his birthday would come up on my Facebook feed, I would write happy birthday and happy death day, and he would laugh with me about that. I bet he never recognized that when he saw it earlier this year how close he was to death. right? That's why I like to treat death as just like an event, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.